Hello, everyone. It's Religious Fanboy here again, and we are discussing the Christian lessons and themes in episode 6 of Spy X Family, as well as covering the Christian lessons and themes that are paralleled in chapters 7 and 8 of the manga. The passage of scripture for this video is James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20. Which in the ESV, the English Standard Version, says this: Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Just some brief scriptural info. Um, There's also, if you're wanting greater context for this chapter, there is a Bible study video that I uploaded a few months ago on James chapter 1. Um, but the book of James is thought to have been written by James, the half brother of Jesus, and would have been written to the Christians in Jerusalem and Israel that being persecuted would be persecuted by the Romans. And the book of James gives examples of principles and important things for Christians to know in regards to how they are supposed to carry themselves and how they're supposed to act and around other people. And to give a brief summary of the episode and the two chapters, Anya, when after Anya on an out while on an outing with Yor gets temporarily kidnapped by thugs. This is after she had been scared by the tailor, and after Twilight had to go on a trip pertaining to mission information. And Anya is saved by Yor, and because of this, Anya asks Yor to teach her how to fight. And we also see in that is the bulk of what we get from chapter 7, and then what is adapted from chapter 8 is her first day at school, kind of like the orientation day, where where Anya is quickly after orientation begins to be bullied by Damien Desmond, the the son of Twilight's target. And this leads to those she puts up with the mistreatment and frustration caused by Damien for quite a while. She does eventually end up punching Damien, and the episode ends with them working to talk, Anya doing her best to talk her way out of having to talk her way out of the situation. Um, for the most part, I recommend this episode. Um, based on I'd not gotten around to reading chapter 8 of the manga, but what I've read of chapter 7 so far, I would say um, either one be good. The the anime I believe is rated TV 14, and then for the manga they have it rated as older than teen. So I would say as long as you fit within that age, what I've seen and read of the series, I would not have problem recommending, or would not have very much of a problem. Anything that I've ran into so far has been touched upon in the previous weeks of talking about this show. Um, but the main message is and theme that we are going with for this video is the idea of using discernment. We see the kind of being slow to the idea of the importance of being slow to speak in first part with Taylor, kind of how she ended up scaring Anya pretty badly. Um, and we also see how Anya being very up, like very close, like very much just getting to the point of her goals and intentions when introducing herself to Damien led to conflict and the eventual bullying. And we also see more of the slow to anger, but the anger is mostly portrayed through violence. And we even see throughout what we've read so far, it talks, we can transition into a talking point where basically thank God for his grace, because as we've seen through the main characters, these principles that we are talking about, it gets easier with time, but also we need to have patience for each other and for ourselves, because we will get these things wrong. we will end up accidentally escalating conflicts, and we'll end up putting our foots in our mouths just because none of us are perfect. No one except God is perfect, and we do see how this improve, especially with Yor, where we can see throughout the episodes that Yor is tempted to go on route of violence, and we've seen like dream sequences and stuff along those lines with her, but she has the maturity in to and the self control to stop herself. And we see Anya do a good job of this, even as young as she is. And they it her conflict with Damien does end up becoming violent, but through that we're able to see how even once we've learned stuff, like she learned the importance of self control from Yor when while she was teaching her how to fight. And we also saw Twilight and Yearn do this during the parents' interview. Um, they also get aggressive and a bit violent, but they were able to stop themselves from punching the person that was antagonizing Anya. Um, and um, this can be a reminder for us to be willing to be slow in our responses things as a way of a reminder to take a step back from situations to assess situation, especially when we don't know at the moment what is the godly decision to make. And like that's what James appears to be saying here, where it says to be quick to hear and slow to speak. And I mean, as Christians, we are accountable for our actions, which means we need to use discernment in order to avoid recklessly falling into temptations. And the next passage scripture, this has less to do with the episode, but this is giving a reason for why we need to be slow to anger. And that's where it says in the passage, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. It is not our job to judge others. It's not our job to be judge, jury, and executioner for others. We don't need to. It is not our job to carry out God's wrath. We are called to rebuke and hold each other accountable in by speaking truth and love. But when it comes to violence and giving in fully to rage, that needs to be left to God. I hope and pray that you are able to just surrender those things up to God and let go of your grudges, and so that we need to do these things in order for our grudges to stop from boiling and bottling up inside of us until we explode on both people who do and do not deserve our anger. It also says in another passage of scripture that we will be judged by the same scales we use to judge others. This is also something similar is also said in the Lord's Prayer, where it says to forgive us of our trespasses as we have forgiven our debtors who have trespassed against us. And just to wrap this up, I'm just gonna reread the full passage of scripture again, and we will close this video out. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And with that being said, if you'd like to support us, like support this ministry and support me, the best ways to do that, as of right now, is subscribing to here, and feel free to follow me also on TikTok, where I upload smaller, shorter versions of these styles of videos in the form of manga ministry videos that starting next week will be coming out weekly on there. And with that being said, I hope and pray that God, that you took away from this last video the anime and the passage of scripture, whatever God intends for you to take away from it, and that you have a great rest of your week. And God bless, and I will see you next time. Bye.